Hey guys, Carl from Purple Moose Plays. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria from publisher Daily Magic Games and designer Stan Kordonskiy. This is a dice drafting action selection game in which you're playing actually one of the baddies, fighting back against the forces of Valeria, working as sort of the warden of one of the factions of bad guys, developing your army, recruiting champions and minions to sort of prove your worth, to earn the right to lead the forces of the Shadow Kingdoms into battle against Valeria. As I said, this is a drafting game, a dice drafting game, an action selection game in which you're sort of building out your tableau of abilities, upgrading your player abilities, and drafting dice to ultimately score points and have the most points at the end of the game. Disclaimer, I was given a review copy of this game from the publisher, but as always, I will do my best to let you know my own honest opinions and thoughts on the game. With that said, let's head down to the table to see how the solo game plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. To set up a solo game of Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria, begin by placing out the game board on the table. Next, take the battle plan cards, give them a shuffle, placing the deck in the upper left corner, and then flipping over one card for each of the 5 slots below the deck. Next, we're going to place 3 gems in the gem shrine, and then we'll populate each of the 5 shrines with dice. To do this in the solo mode, you're going to put 5 of each die color into the die bag, mix them all up, and then you're going to draw and roll 2 dice for each of the shrines. And then we'll set the die bag off to the side for use during gameplay. Next, we're going to set up the award cards in the top right corner, and you'll see that there are 3 different types of award cards. And you can tell them by which of these pieces are sort of colored in. So we've got here the colored on the left, here on the right side, and here down the center. So we're going to shuffle each pile, each of the 3 different piles, and choose one card for each of those slots from each of the 3 types. Next, we need to set up the champion cards section over here. And again, there are 3 different types of champion cards, and you'll see there are these instant effect cards, these ongoing effect cards, and these endgame sort of scoring cards. So we're going to separate them into the 3 decks, shuffle those decks, placing the decks here, and then filling in 3 cards of each type on the board. So that's it for setting up the main board. Next, we're going to get our own player board and set that up. For this game, there is no purple, unfortunately, in this game, so I will be playing as these green goblins. So we're going to start by taking our player board and setting that out down here at the bottom of the screen. We will then place out these conquest markers on each of the circle spaces on our player board, meaning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll then set up our starting resources. You can see on the player board where they start with these small markings. There's a blue dot here, a yellow dot there, and a green mark there, meaning our influence starts at 10, our coins start at 6, and our magic starts at 3. We'll then put our player piece in here on our own camp space, and our scoring marker will go up here at the 0 space. Next, we will get a random campaign map. Now these campaign maps are double-sided, so once we've gotten our random map, we can choose to use either side. And doing so, or in choosing how to do so, I'm going to take a look a little bit at the board to see what's coming up and what kinds of things I can score, because these will be scoring off of things I will do later in the game. Now I haven't explained how the game works, so it doesn't make any sense to you. So I'm going to sort of briefly explain why I choose the one I choose, but you'll understand more about that when we get into gameplay. So the first thing I want to look at is over here, the awards. Show me that I need to have the middle one, the bottom center, and the whole right column filled in if I want to score that award. And looking at the board now, I see lots of brown dice, quite a bit of black dice. I also see lots of these sort of catapult markings and bow markings. And now here I see a whole lot of red for the most part, a little bit of gray, a little brown, green, black. So I'm looking at red, I'm looking at catapults, I'm looking at arrows, and I'm looking at that shape on the board. Means I think I like this side because I'm scoring for red here, I'm scoring for arrows here, I'm scoring for catapults here. This one and this one doesn't really matter right now, but the point is, for that shape on the award, I need to fill in these 4 plus this top corner. And that one, and that one all sort of go with what's on the board at the moment. So we're going to take that side and slot that in just like that. And actually, just because I'm going to be filling in cards moving off this side of the screen, I am going to slide this down a little bit further here to give us more space. And then finally, because we are playing the solo mode of the game, we need to set up the AI. The AI doesn't use a player board or any other components aside from a player marker and a scoring marker. For this playthrough, I will be giving the red pieces to the AI. The AI's player marker always starts up here in the gem shrine, and their score marker following the standard setup should start at 10. But then the rules suggest that if you want more challenge, you can start them up higher. I've been pretty successful at 10 and fairly successful at 15. The rules suggest 30 is sort of the ultimate challenge. I don't want to go that high, but we're going to give them a 10-point boost, and we'll start them at 20 points to see how we do. Now, granted, at the end of the game, we'll compare our scores, and we'll see if I had added 10 more or if I hadn't added those 10, how we would have done. But for right now, I'm going to start them at 20. And with that, we are all set up to play the game Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria. Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria will play out over an indeterminate number of rounds, until which point either the AI or myself has 7 battle plan cards completed. One thing I did forget in setup is that we are the first player, so I'm going to place the first player marker on my board. What that means basically is if I finish the game first, the AI will still have one more turn after us because we've gone first. But if the AI finishes the game first, means collect 7 battle plans before us, then the game will instantly end because we started the round, so we won't get another turn after the AI. So in each of the turns, or each of the rounds, I'm going to take a turn followed by an AI turn. On my turn, I'm going to place my player marker on one of the 5 shrines or on my camp. Now, I can never choose the same location twice in a row. And if I place out on the shrine, I'm going to draft one of the dice in that shrine, and then I'm going to take whatever the action is for that shrine. The camp action is a little bit different. The camp action is how we're going to be paying for or activating those battle plans that will ultimately score us points and end the game. But I'll explain that a little bit later after I go over all of the shrine spaces. But again, I will place my piece out, draft the die, take the action at that space. Afterwards, the AI will simply move clockwise to the next location. So the AI is not doing anything on their turn aside from moving clockwise, except when they reach this shrine location, which I will explain in more detail in a minute. But when the AI gets to this location, and every time the AI gets to this location, it's going to take and automatically score the top card at that location. And they're going to score a number of points based on the number of sort of icons that are printed on the card. So I would really love to have the top card show only 2 icons when the AI makes it to that space, because 3 will be more points and 4 will be ultimately even more points than that. And I'd prefer that they didn't score a ton of points, obviously, so that I can win towards the end of the game. But let's go into what first each of the shrines do, how I interact with the game, and then we'll go ahead and get into gameplay, and you'll see exactly how it all plays out and how it all works. So let's first talk about the 5 different shrines. Before I talk about the 5 shrines, there's one more thing that I should mention. When I am placing out my player piece, I can never place in the same shrine with the AI. So effectively, they are blocking off whatever shrine they're in. And also, if the AI moves into the same shrine as me on their turn, they're going to instantly get 2 points for doing so. So I cannot place in the shrine that they are in, and I should do my best to avoid the next shrine clockwise from where they currently are, so they don't get extra points for me doing so. So let's talk about what the 5 shrines do. Again, when we place in a shrine, we're going to draft a die. And what that die does is going to work in several different ways. First, you'll see that each of the dice has a couple different pieces of information on them. First, there's a big number here. And these big numbers are ultimately what we're going to be using as our sort of attack strength in order to complete those battle plan cards later on. There's also often a number in the bottom left corner. You'll see on the 6 there is no number because the 6 is an extra powerful die, so you don't get any extra bonus for taking it. And the bottom right corner is just basically showing you the icon or the logo for that color of die. So that doesn't really matter so much, except for that it helps you identify things for cards, and should you have color blindness issues, those will help you identify which dice they are as well. So again, the big number is basically just going to be used when we activate battle plan cards, and the bottom number on the left bottom corner is going to be activated or useful in different ways. It's going to basically be a discount number, and you'll see how that works out in each shrine separately. So the first shrine up here is the gem shrine, and if we go there after we've drafted our die, all we're going to do is we're going to take one of these gems and add it to our player board. And you can see at the start of the game, we only have a space for one gem on our player board. But later on, after we've upgraded a bit, you can see that we can unlock an additional 2 spaces for gems. And I'll explain how the unlock or the upgrading works in a minute, but just understand that we start with only 1 slot for gems, and we can have up to 3 slots later on in the game. And gems are going to be useful in 2 different ways. Gems can be spent to either change the color of a die to any color that we want it to be, or to flip a die to the opposite side. And the reason we're going to want to change colors or flip dice to the opposite side is to complete our battle plans and to score more points. But you'll understand how all of that works when we get to the explanation of how battle plan cards work. The next shrine is the magic shrine, and you've got 2 choices here. When you go to the magic shrine, you can either claim an award card that you currently can claim based on what you've got going on in your player area, or you can choose to simply take 2 magic. And magic is going to be especially useful in a couple of different ways. Magic is going to allow me to remove 1 card from the battle plan row and draw a new one, remove 1 card from the champions area and draw a new one, or for 1 magic, I can increase or decrease the value of a die basically as much as I want to, spending 1 magic per change. Realistically though, there is no reason that we'd ever decrease a number because we're always trying to get higher numbers to score more. So basically you'd be using magic to increase the value of a die. Now remembering that a die always, the highest number is a 6, we can't use magic to sort of treat the die as if it was a 7 because a die can't ever show a 7. And we need to physically increase the number of the die by spending magic. The next shrine is the champion shrine. Now, while we are here talking about this magic shrine, let's go through the 3 award cards so you can see what I need to do to get them completed. The first one shows an 18 and a sort of green star. This green star represents our influence value. You can see we start influence at 10. In order to score this card, I need to get my influence up to at least 18 on my track. Now, you'll see here in the bottom corner, we've got this little token here, and this is blocking off the track from it going anywhere past 13. So if I ever want to get this up to 18, I am going to need to remove that later in an upgrade of my player board. The next one I sort of talked about already when we were setting up, but I'll explain it again right now. And that shows that we need to have these bottom 2 central spaces and the whole right side column filled in order to activate that card. And then finally, this last card here shows me that I need to have completed 3 battle plans that show 3 icons on them. So for example, this wage war on Neymar down here has 2 red and 1 black. This would be one of the 3 that we could use to finish that card. The next shrine is the champion shrine, and here we're simply going to be paying a cost to take one of the champion cards. Now again, the top champion cards are an instant effect 1 time. The middle row are going to give us some kind of ability or some kind of effect that triggers ongoing throughout the game. And the bottom row is going to give us sort of endgame scoring goals that we can accomplish to score more points at the end of the game. And the way that we're going to buy them is we're going to pay the costs shown here. The instant use cards cost 1 plus, and I'll explain what the plus means in a minute. The ongoing cards cost 3 plus, and the endgame cards cost 6 plus. And what that plus means is for every successive card of the same type that I buy, the cost increases by 1. So if I already have 1 instant use card, the next one I buy will be 2 coins. If I already have 2 ongoing cards, the next one I buy would be 3 plus 2 or 5 coins. Now, That's the initial cost of the card, but based on the die that we draft, we're going to get a discount. I showed you that the bottom left corner has a small number that is the discount. So for example, if I took this 2, the discount is a 4. Means I pay 4 coins less than whatever the cost of the card is. Now we don't get change, we don't get money back. If we go below 0, we just lose that extra discount. But the point is, I can buy for a lot less money if I take a lower number die, but remembering the lower number is going to score us less points on the battle plans later on in gameplay. So very quickly, I'm going to go through what each of these champion cards that are currently showing does, and as we pull out new ones, I'll explain what they do. So for this instant row, this one will let me draft 1 die from anywhere on the board. This one will give me 4 magic, and this one will give me 6 coins. For these ongoing effects, this one will give me 1 coin anytime I gain or spend a gem. This one will get me 2 coins and 1 magic every time I complete a battle plan with a bow and arrow on it. And this one, same thing, plus 2 coins and plus 1 magic anytime I complete a battle plan with axes on it. And the bottom row here, this one will score me 2 points for every instant effect card that I have, up to a total of 10 points maximum. This one, 1 point for every black icon that shows on completed battle plans at the end of the game, again up to a total of 10 maximum. And this one scores me 1 point for every 2 coins I have at the end of the game. Now, when we are buying these champion cards, there is a sort of hand limit or size amount that we're allowed to have, and that's going to be coming from this side of our board. Right now we have a maximum of 3 champion cards that we can have in our tableau, but as we upgrade our board, we could then have 6 cards or 10 cards maximum instead. So if we want to focus on those cards, we need to focus on upgrading this part of our board. The next shrine is the gold shrine. And the gold shrine is simply going to allow us to collect gold, and we'll collect a number of gold equal to whatever that bottom left number is. So if I take a 6 die, I get no gold. If I take this 1, I would instantly get 5 gold. And then finally over here is the tactics shrine. The tactics shrine is how we're going to sort of reserve battle plan cards for us to use in the future. So after I've drafted a die here, I can pay money to draft one of these cards from this row, adding it here below my player board. Now you'll see there's a slot here for putting in a battle plan card. There are actually 3 slots, but in order for us to use these other 2 slots, we will need to upgrade the board to do so. And aside from holding a card for future use, the other good reason to reserve a card in advance is because when we reserve a card and place it here, we're going to activate whatever it shows above that slot. So for here, if I place a card here, I can spend 1 gold to get 1 influence. This next one, if I place here, I could spend 2 coins to draft a die from anywhere on the board. And this next one here, I can buy 1 champion card of my choice, paying whatever the cost of that card is. And again, just like the champion cards, the cost of the card is printed next to the card, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But we are also still going to get that discount, just like we did with the champion cards. And the way these are going to work is when I take a card, everything will slide down to fill that spot and we'll refresh the top card, which is going to be a little bit dangerous for us in solo mode because as you can see up here, there's 2 symbols and that's not a whole lot of points for the AI. But if I take one of these and slide everything down, the next one that comes out could be 3 or even 4 icons there, in which case the AI would score more. So I need to be a little bit careful when I refresh that so that I don't accidentally give the AI more points easily as they're going. So that is the 5 shrines, and on our turn we'll keep moving around from these shrines except to come back to our camp to activate a battle plan. And I'll explain that just a second. The one thing I do want to say before we talk about that is the shrines every time we are drafting a die. But at the start of our turn, if there are ever 3 dice or less at the start of our turn, we're instantly going to clear the board of all dice and redraw 2 dice for each of those sections. So the last thing we need to talk about is how do we activate the battle plan. Now, whether we've reserved the card or not reserved the card, I can come back to this space and I can use the dice that I've drafted to activate a battle plan. I should mention here that at the start of the game we can only hold 3 dice, but as we are upgrading our board, we can eventually hold up to 5 dice. Now, when we draft a die, if there's no space for them on our board, we can either put that die directly back into the bag, or we can place it and return one of the other dice that we had previously drafted to the bag. And the way that the battle plan works is, we need to spend dice that match the symbols on the card, meaning color or logo icon of that die needs to match the different icons and colors on the card. If it's in our reserve, we can simply do that. If it's still in the battle plan lineup, we're just going to pay the cost in gold to take that card and then activate it immediately. All of the dice that we pay to activate that card go back into our bag. During that time, we can always use gems to flip the dice over or change the color, and use magic to increase the value of those dice. And the reason we want to increase the value of those dice is because we're going to be scoring points based on whatever our sort of attack value is towards that card. And we can attack that card with any value we want to, as long as the colors match the colors on the card. But the more points or the more attack value we have, the more points we're going to score for doing so. So if we have less than 7 attack, we get 1 point. 8 to 10 is 3, 11 to 13 is 6, 14 to 15 is 9, 16 to 17 is 12, 18 to 19 is 15, and more than 20 will get me 21 points for that card. The catch is, we can never have an attack value that is higher than our current influence value. So right now I have a 10 influence. So even if I spend dice that add up to more than 10, my attack value will only be 10 because that is where my influence is. So if I want to get into these higher numbers, I'm really going to need to push my influence up higher on the track. And then once we've done that, as soon as we activate that battle plan and spend the dice to do so, we're going to choose one of these tokens on our board and move it over to this campaign map over here. First, that means we've upgraded one something on our player board. But then also we get to place on here, and these are going to give me bonus scoring potential for that single attack. So for example, if I just played a bow and arrow card or activated a bow and arrow card, I could place on the center that says bow and arrow equals 2 points. By doing so, because that matches, I get an additional 2 points for that completion, and I would move my spot up 2. Also, anytime we have both spaces on either side of one of these bonuses covered, we're also going to trigger whatever that bonus is. So this would increase my influence by 2, 2 magic, 3 coins, 1 random die, or sorry, 1 drafted die from the board, 1 champion card, and so on. So we want to make sure that we're aiming at getting cards that not only score us a lot because we can use extra dice to complete them, right? Because we need to match the colors to activate a card, means that takes 2 dice, that takes 4 dice, that takes 3 dice. But also we want to make sure that the card that we're activating matches one of the conditions that we haven't yet covered, so we get extra bonuses for doing so. Also, if possible, I'd like to aim to get these 5 spaces first so that I can activate that award. Why? Because at the end of the game, or I should say the end of the solo game, the AI player is going to score 7 points for each of these cards that we didn't complete, or 5 points for each of those cards that we did complete. So I want to complete as many of those as I can so that the AI doesn't get that many points at the end of the game. I know that was a lot to take in, but I promise that once we get into gameplay, it's really not that complicated. So I'm going to go ahead and get started right now, and hopefully things will become a bit clearer as we play. All right, so again, I see a lot of brown out on the board. I see some red, I see some black. That's a high red is a 6. Now remember, I can't go higher than a 10 right now, so it doesn't matter if I go super high. But I want gray, red, arrows, catapults, and axes. All of those are arrows and catapults. Some of those are reds. I'm liking this one here because it's reds and a black and a catapult. And it's a 3 for that. So we're going to focus on getting reds. Again, I don't want to place in front of him because I'll lose points when he moves. So we're going to start by going here. I'll draft that red 6. And we're going to get a champion card. Now, my play style is I tend to avoid the instant things unless I really, really need something at that point. But it's nice to have ongoing early in the game so we can keep pushing for stuff. And I do know Oh, you know what? This isn't bad either. That's red, red, brown, and arrows, which gets me there or there. Yeah, all right, so let's focus on that instead, maybe, and it's cheaper anyway. And that's an arrow. So if I take this card and then I get that, I will get 2 gold and a magic, so that's what we're going to do. I need to spend 3 gold. 1, 2, 3. Whoops. 3, and I will take that card there, adding it to my row, and then we will instantly replace that. End of my turn, so the AI moves to the next space, and that's it. Then I want to take that brown 6 like that, and that gets me a gem from the gem shrine. AI moves again. Now I need another red to finish that, and the only way I can get that is from here, but that's not going to happen right now. But I would like to take that card so I can activate this. Yeah, let's do that now anyway. I'm coming here. It doesn't matter right now which of those dice I take, because actually I'm going to get rid of it in a minute anyway. So I'm going to take the 2 because it's less painful to get rid of. No, I'm going to leave the 2 because it gives me more discount in a future turn, potentially if I want to take another card. So I'm going to take that 3. And that 3 gets me 3 discounts, so those bottom 3 cards are free. I'm going to take that one for free, and I will add it down here. I know it's a little bit off the screen, but hopefully you can see enough of the information you need to. And that's going to let me spend 1 coin to increase my influence by 1 point. Which is good because 11 is the next threshold on this scoring track, so that's yay. AI moves to the next spot. Sorry, these slide down, and that refills. Ooh, yay, another 2. All right, so I'm not touching this again until they score so that I don't accidentally mess that up, but that's fine. Going to the gem shrine, which is sad because I don't have space for another gem, but I do need that red die. So I'm going to draft that red 3 and lose the brown 3 back to the bag. AI moves here. Now the AI is going to take this card, which is just 2 icons. I'm just going to place them over here. We'll make a long chain of AI cards. And for 2 icons, the AI scores 9 points, so we will move this to 29. And then my turn, I'm going to do the same thing, but let's fill this back in. Ooh, that's a 4. We need to get rid of that before he makes his turn around. I'm coming back to my camp to activate this battle plan. So we need 2 red dice and 1 brown die. Now, there's no reason for me to manipulate anything because the highest I can score right now is 11, and I'm already at 15. So I'm just going to take that as is. Put those dice away. This gets added down here to my list. And then I get to choose one thing to upgrade. Right now, there's nothing that's super jumping out of me. One thing I didn't mention in setup, there are 2 more upgrade spots. This one is going to allow me to use my color, means green, as any color, means it's a wild color. And this one simply gives me a +1 to every battle I activate in the future. But I think right now I really want to push this influence up so I can score that, and so that I can score more points on other things. So I'm going to take that one off the track. Now this one can get me 2 points for red, or 2 points here for arrows. Now the bow and arrow is always 2 points, and the red is scoring me 1 point per red. And it's not so likely that I see more than 2. You're lucky if you get a 3 on one of the big ones, but I'm going to do that now because this is worth it for red. So I will score an additional 2 points. So for the 11, we get 6 points. And for that, we get another 2 points. So I go up to 8. Then AI moves again. And I need to focus on 3s. I need to focus on arrow or catapult or axes or gray. Looking at endgame scoring, I see instant cards, or black symbols, and coins. The only black symbols here are here or here. I wouldn't mind going for that wage war card. There's no red out on the board right now. And blacks are not special, but it's going to be more dice coming soon, and I don't see much of anything that's black and green or black and brown, or green and brown for that matter. So I could try and swap something out, but again, that's risky and I don't want to waste my magic. So I think I am going to aim for this bottom one. Yeah, or this gray catapult. There's no gray dice at all. There's no red dice at all. 2 black and 2 red is not a bad idea, because that gets me axes too. Yeah, let's aim for that one. All right, then I'm going to... Yeah, that's great. I'm coming here, I'll take that brown die. I don't really need it, but gets me a 4 discount, and that's a 5, so I only need to spend 1 to take that. Which means I can place that here, and I'm going to spend my last coin to get 1 more influence, so I'm up to 12, and we replace that, which is a 3. Not great, but it's better for me than him getting the 4. So he'll move there, and I think I'm going to waste 1 more turn. It's not really a waste, but it's kind of a waste. I'm coming here to take this 1. I'm not using any of these dice, but that gets me a 5 gold, and I'm getting very low on gold, so that's good for me. He comes here. Now I'm going to go here, and I'm going to take that 4. And I get 2 magic because I can't complete any of those yet. So that goes up to 5. He moves again. Now, there are 3 dice on the board at the start of my turn, so those go away. And we will draw 2 dice, new dice for each spot. All right, I do like what I see now because there's lots of black and red, which is exactly what I need from my card and potentially for future cards as well. And I might look to start scoring this card at the end, which is going to get me points for black. But right now I need to think about what I'm drafting. I definitely... I made a mistake. Hold on. I can't hold 4 dice for this card. So I'm going to need to be able to score something else before I score that card. So I need a red die. And that's not going to happen right this second. So I should focus on something else potentially, or... Yeah, that was a small mistake, but that's okay. I'm going to focus on this down here. Yeah, but I don't want to take another red right now because he's in a problem spot. It's like, if I go there, he's going to get me. 2 black and a red at the top. All right, well, I'm going to come here and take that black 6 just so I have it and get rid of the brown 2. And he moves here and takes that card. Before he does that, though, sorry, I should take my champion card. I want... sorry. I just realized I never got the bonus for this card, so I should have an additional 1 magic and 2 coins. Now he moves... no, now I get my champion card, which might be that. 2 black and a red is what he's going to take right now, though, so that doesn't do anything for me. Yeah, you know what? I'm not taking that 6 after all. I'm going to take the 4 so I get a 2 discount. Because I'm going to get rid of that die in a second, and you'll see why. I get 2 discount. I am going to take this mercenary, which gets me 1 free die from somewhere. And I'm going to take that 4 red, getting rid of that 4 gray, because I don't need it anymore. Then he's going to move here and take that top card. Let me replace this one too. With a 3 icon, he scores 12 points. So 1, 2 is 31, and 10 is 41. Now it's my turn. Now I have a red and a brown. Let's see what comes out here. There's a 2, but that's okay. Yeah, with red and brown. No, you know what? I was going to do that red and brown. But that's expensive, and it's a catapult that I can get from this, and this is a 3 and gets me that 3. So I'm actually going to instead go here, take that red and kill that brown. And then I get, because I took the 4, I get 2 gold. He moves again. Now I'm coming home. I've got red, red, black, so I want that. I spend 1 coin. I take that. I got 4, 4, and 4 is 12, which is what my influence is anyway, so I can't get any higher, so there's no reason to manipulate anything. Those 3 at 12 get me 6 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I get to upgrade something, And I definitely need to do a die so I can get to this 4. That's a catapult. It's also got a black symbol, but I want to focus on these. Means I'm going to place it there for 2 more points. I still don't have any connections, but those will give me nice things in future. Those go in the bag, and that's my second card activated. He moves forward 1. These slide down, and this flips over. Now I need to focus on black and red. I need 2 black and 2 red. There's no other 2 red right now. But the dice will refresh probably before I get too close. So we're going to go up here. Seems like a waste, but I'm going up here to take that 5. I don't get to take a gem because I don't have any space for it. They moved there. I definitely want to come here to take a red die. I still can't activate any of those. I need 1 more 3 to get that. Means I get 2 magic. He moves here. Definitely coming here to get that 6 black, which means I can buy another card. I still have space for 1 more card. I am getting black quite often, so I wouldn't mind getting this endgame scoring for black. I am going to activate this axes soon. Means I could get that and be useful. And I don't want to spend a ton of gold. I just took a 6, so I don't get any discount. So I'm actually going to stay away from the expensive one this time and get this one. I already have a 1, so I need to spend 4. So we're down to 4 coins, and I take the soldier. Now we are full with our cards, so if I want more cards, I'm going to need to upgrade that next. This comes out like that. And he's going to take another 3, which gets him another 12 points. 1, 2 is 43, and 10 is 53. Now, I need a red die. There aren't any right now. So I need to focus on getting my stuff better. And I'm going to do that by coming here and taking this green because that gets me 4 gold. So I'm back to 8. He moves there. Sorry, that should have upgraded. Then, I need to do some stuff. This goes away because there's only 3 and we're going to refill and hope we get some good red. Now, the sad thing is this 4 card's not going to get me a ton of points because I can only get to 12 influence and that's already just 3 per die. So that's kind of a waste. We could hold it for later and try to score some other things along the way, but let's see what happens. All right, then what can we do here? There's no black out there, so I don't want to spend my black dice because I do need my black dice for this. That said, red and green gets me this card right here, which does activate that center spot, which isn't bad. And my red and green is only 5, but I flipped that, that's 5 and 8 is, that's 8. I need to get to 11 with 3 magic. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Let's do that. I'm coming home. There's more than 2 red out on the board, so that's perfectly okay with me. I come home. I'm going to buy this card for 1. And put a 3 red and a 2 green. I'm going to use my gem to flip that to a 5 green. So we're at 8. I want to get to the 11 threshold. So I'm going to spend 1, 2, 3 magic to make that 3 red into a 6 red. 6 and 5 is 11. Which pushes me over there, gets me 6 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. Those go away. Red and green and arrow. Now I could get another set of cards. Could unlock another slot. Could unlock more gems. Those are sort of the 3 things I want to do right now, but I think cards is not a bad idea. And we place in that center because we just did arrows. When I do arrows, I get 2 coins and 1 magic. And from here, now, that's a chain and that's a chain, so I get 2 magic from that and 2 influence from there, which is cool because 14 pushes me to the next point threshold. AI goes there. Now I want red. But these slide down. This flips over, which is a 3. And I need red stuff. Coins isn't bad. Doing this doesn't help me because I don't have any more slots to put a card. And I want to go here because he's moving there. So I will just come here and take that red 4, which gets me 2 coins. He moves here. Then I will come here and get the other red 6. And I don't have a third one of these yet. I'm not at 18 yet. And I haven't completed that pattern yet, so I can't do that. So I get 2 magic. He comes here. Now I will come home. And I will do this card here. So we've got 2 black and 2 red. No reason to spend anything because that's way big. That's what, 12 and 9 is 21. The highest I can get is 14, which gets me 9 points. So I'm at 31. Those go away. That comes here. Then I need to start getting some bonus scoring stuff or I'm in trouble. We need to unlock something. More attacks, not a bad idea. More cards I don't need. More dice I don't really need. More gems wouldn't be a bad thing. Yeah, let's get the attack. That was an axe, which gets me 2 more coins and 1 more magic. I placed there, which gets me 2 more influence. I'm at 16, which is the next scoring threshold, which is great. And I get 1 free die to draft. Let's see here. I need grays for that. There's lots of gray out there. Yeah, I'm going to take that gray 4 as my draft. He moves forward and he takes this top card. Replacing it with that, and he scores 12 points again, 55, 65. Gray, gray, black, and red. I don't see any black out there. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to change my mind. I'm sorry for doing this. I don't really need the attack. I'd rather have the wild because there's not a whole lot of black out there, and I kind of need black for most of the things I'm doing. Brown is not super useful right now, although I could get that one with brown, but I definitely want to score that with gray if I can. So I'm focused here. Means I want another gray. I'm coming here to get this 3, which gets me 1, 2, 3 more coins. He moves here. And then I definitely want this red. Gets me a discount of 1, so I get this for free. And I spend 1 coin to get 1 more influence, up to 17. Those slide down. That flips over. I do need to pay attention because I do want to get a third this thing before too long so that I can activate that action. But we'll see what happens. He moves forward 1. Then I'm coming here to get this green and a gem. And he moves forward 1 again. And now I come back here to activate. This goes there. I get gray, gray. My green is wild because I'm green and I activated this, and red. That's 8 and 8 is 16. This is at 17, but 17 doesn't change anything from 16, so I will stop there and get 12 points. 1, 2, and 10 is 43. And then those go back into the bag. We activated that. I get to pull 1 more. Now I think I will pull that. 1, yes. And I will place that up here. Gets me 1 point per gray, and there were 2 of them on that card, so I get an additional 2 points for that. And I triggered this connection here, which is 3 coins. 1, 2, 3. AI moves forward 1. Then, I want to start getting some scoring cards, for sure. So I'm going to come here and draft that 3 simply so I can get a discount of 3, which makes this cost 3 coins. 1, 2, 3. And I will take this one that scores 1 point for every 2 coins because I do have lots of coins building up. We'll put out a new one that scores for gray. Black is better than gray at the moment, but we'll see what happens. AI moves forward 1 and takes this card here. which gets them another 12 points, is 67, and 1 is 7, sorry, 10 is 77. We're going to flip that over so we know they've gone around once. There are 3 dice on the board, so we refresh. And we turn over the top card here, which is another 4. I don't like this. We're going to have to use a magic to wipe once, I think, because I definitely want to hit that if I can before the end. So I'm going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get 2 more. So I need the next one to be that, because if it's my last one, I don't have another turn to go there and get that action. But I am going to come here anyway for right now. I'm going to take that green because it's a wild die for me, and I can always use a gem to flip it into a bigger number if needed. We have completed this pattern, so I get to place out one more thing, and I'd like to have the space for more gems, I think. We activate that one for 8 points. So I get 45 and 8 is 50. 3. They move forward 1. And I'm going to come here to draft that 6 green, because it's a nice die to have. But I don't want to spend a ton of money. Hold on. Yeah, but I'm going to have to anyway. And then I'm going to use magic to wipe that 4 so he can't get it. And hope that a 3 comes out. No, that's another 4. But I got a lot of magic, so I'm going to do it again so I can get rid of that 4 again. And hope for a 3 coming out now. Nope, that's a 2. All right, well, maybe we don't get that award and instead we focus on big points. That means brown would not be a bad thing to have. More than 15 I can't get with a 2. Blacks would not be bad to have if I get that, and that's an arrow which gets me that. Let's do that one. So we took that 6, so I don't have a discount. So I got to spend 2 to take that, placing it here. I'll spend 1 more to increase my influence, because now I'm at 18, which is cool. That slides down, and this flips over. And of course, now there's a 3. The AI moves forward 1. But we just lucked out, because that's a 3. I've already got the dice for it. I can activate that before I activate the one that I've gotten already. Yeah, we're not in any bad shape. I'm going to come home right now and do that. So I'm going to take that for 5 gold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a waste of gold, but that's fine. It comes here. 6, a 2, and a 3. I will use a gem to flip that 2 to a 5. So that's 11, 12, 13, 14. The best I can hit is 18, and that is a threshold. Yeah, that is a threshold. So I'm going to, yeah, why not? 1, 2, 3, 4. To increase this by 3 to 6, and this by 1 to 6. That puts me at 18. You know what? No, 1 less. Because I have the auto plus 1 here, so that's 17 plus 1 is 18. So I hit the 18 threshold, which gets me 15 points, which goes 58 and 10 is 68. So those go away. That's good. Then I'm going to move something. At this point, it doesn't hugely matter. I'm not going to get more than 2 more cards, I think. So let's activate this one down here. Now we can place in brown to get 1 point, which gets me a die and 2. We can place here in green to get 2 points, which gets me a gem. I could place up here in 15 plus, which gets me 2 points, but no connection. I'm going to take this green here. Gets me an additional 2 points, which flips me at 70, and I get 1 gem. The AI moves forward. This flips over. All right, then I am going to come here. And I do have 18 influence, so I will place that there for 9 points. The AI moves again. 1, 2, 3, 4. They only have 5 cards, so I still have some time. That's good. Because I want to get that as well now that I have 3 of those. Also, I just realized I triggered an axe this last time. So I get 2 coins and 1 magic there. Okay, then 2 black I can do with a black and a green. So I might as well go up here. No, I got money still. I'm coming here. No, because he's going to go there next. I want to go here first. Take that green 6 and a gem. He moves here and takes this 2 card, which gets him 9 points. Goes to 16. That refills. 2 green and a red. I can score more off of 2 green and a red than I can with blacks, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 blacks. That gets me 2 points, plus the most I can score is 8. I can score a lot more if I score that one. So let's do that. Green, green, red. There's no more green, but I can use a gem to turn something into green, so that's okay with me. Then I'm going to come here and take that gray 4, which gets me a discount of 2. I want to buy this Kingslayer card. So I need to spend 4 plus, I've got one of those as 5 coins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 puts me to 4. I take the Kingslayer and I replace it with, 2 per arrows. I've got 2 of those. That's 4 points. Yeah, we'll see. I don't think so. The AI moves there. Then I need red, so I'm coming here to take that 5. Which gets me just 1 coin, but that's okay. AI moves here. I don't need more dice. This thing's annoying because I'd love more influence, but I don't do that right now. Then realistically, I don't need to do anything except wait for him to get away from there so I could do this before I activate anything. So whatever I do right now is just extra. And I don't really need to draft another die, so there's no reason for me to spend money there to do that. So that's no good for me. Yeah, then we're going to come here just because. Draft that and take a gem. He moves here. Then we're going to come here and draft that, which I'll just put in the bag because I don't need it, so that I can activate this award for 7 points, which puts me tied with him at 16. He moves here. Oh well, that's going to get him his last card. So I need to go now before he does, or I don't get a last card because he'll trigger the end of the game. So I'm coming here, and I have to spend 5 coins, which puts me to 0, which is sad because now I'm not scoring anything for that end card. But that's 1 for 2 coins, and this is going to score me a lot, so it's worth it. So I'm going to place that there. I get a 6 there, a 5 red, and I'm going to spend 1 gem to place that 5 there. That's 16 plus 1 is 17. I need to spend 1 more to get to the next threshold, so I'll spend 1 magic to make that a 6. So that's 12 and 5 is 17. Oh, hold on. That wasn't enough. Oh, yeah, it is. Plus 1 from my attack is 18. 18 gets me 15 points, which is 21, and 10 is 31. Then I get to place out this last one. There's no brown on there, it's 2 green and a red, but I did get more than 15, so I'll place that for 2 points. And that gets me 2 more magic, which doesn't matter end game, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, I did let him get his final turn, which is taking this, which is a 4 card. So he's going to get 15 points. So 21, 31, he's right on my heels. And that's the end of the game. To finish scoring, the AI again gets 7 points for each of these I didn't do, or 5 for each I did. I did all 3, so they're going to get 15 points. Means 36 and 10 is 46 for them to finish. And I think I'm going to just barely lose. Because I get 1 point for any dice. Hold on, these go away. This is here. That doesn't get me anything. Yeah, this hurts. I'm going to get 1 point for this gray die because it's there. And then I get 1 point per black symbol, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So close, but unfortunately, they finish with a score of 116, sorry, and I score 108. Now again, they are 8 points ahead of me. We did start with them with a 10-point advantage. So at the normal starting mode, I would have won, but because I sort of set myself up for a more difficult challenge, I unfortunately was not able to beat the AI. And that was sort of my mistake, because if I had rushed the game and done it one turn, maybe 2 turns earlier, they would not have scored that 15 points and I would have won the game. So that is a little bit my mistake at the end of the game, but it is what it is. And you got to see the game play out, so it's still a nice playthrough. Now, while I'm here, I always do like to take a look at the components of the game. Basically, everything out here is what you see. And let's start this. Daily Magic Games uses Dmicho for their artwork. I'm a big fan of Dmicho. I like what he does for them. The work that he does for Daily Magic tends to be this sort of dark, semi-grotesque fantasy look, and I really like what he's doing here. Let me show you some of the cards close up just so you can get an idea of what the artwork looks like. Because I do really like what he's doing here. It's just really cool, lots of detail, neat color palettes. Some of the characters, like this guy, kind of reminds me of some of the characters from the Final Frontier games that he does with them, but it's, again, a sort of darker, more mature / kind of grotesque look to it, and I really do love the way that these look, so yay on the artwork. The iconography here is very clear. The colors are very different. Again, I'm not colorblind, so I can't comment on colorblindness, but everything has very easily identifiable icons, so that definitely helps with that. Same thing, every Daily Magic game uses these magic and coin and influence shapes. So this is a very common, very understandable shape and icon, and the way that the iconography works on the cards makes a lot of sense if you've ever played any Daily Magic games before, and even if you haven't, it's very clear to understand pretty easily. The layout, the design of the board, everything looks and makes perfect sense to me. The wooden bits, the standard sort of Daily Magic bits, look the way they sort of always do, and I like them because they're very easily identifiable and the shapes are very distinguishable from each other. But more importantly, this game comes with some really cool, I guess, screen printed wooden bits. All of the different characters have their own scoring and player pieces, and they all look really cool. There's a bunch of different characters. All of the characters have their own. You can see not just shape, but size. The goblins are tiny, and these sort of red demon-looking guys are huge and imposing. And I just really love the look of these pieces. Granted, these shapes themselves would be cool, but to see them with this artwork printed on them just makes them pop. And I really love the way this game looks. The bag for the dice, well, let's take a look at the dice first anyway. The dice, nice colors, very clear, very easy to read. Lots of information on the dice, but not overloaded. You can definitely see what you need to see and understand what you need to understand from these dice. They're nice, they're chunky, they roll very nicely. I am a fan of dice. I like these dice a lot. And the die bag has that same image from the first player marker. Again, a really cool icon. And they didn't need to put it on there, but because it's there, yay, it makes it even cooler for me. So that's basically it for the pieces. At this point in my videos, I do also like to take a look at the insert for the box. This is a sort of standard Ticket to Ride size square box. There isn't really an insert. It just comes with these foam pieces that interlock together. You can kind of separate each of the player sets. Here, the dice fit nicely, and here with some cards here and some cards here. It definitely holds things nicely. It separates everything nicely. It's not really an insert. It doesn't help too much because baggies are still needed, and the bags sort of hold everything anyway, but it's nice that they did something that's not just a big, empty, cavernous box. So I applaud them for that. Would I like to see a real insert? Yeah, maybe, but that costs money and extra effort. So this is a nice sort of middle ground for me. With all that said, let's head back up to the top and I'll let you know what I think about the game itself. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. I tend to be a pretty big fan of dice and the way that the randomness of dice is used in games, especially in cases where the dice are used as things that aren't just rolling dice to see what happens, right? There are a lot of games where you do something and roll dice and the outcome of the dice dictates what happens. And those are fun. I like rolling dice. I like seeing that. But I am a big fan of input randomness of dice. Roll the dice and then use what the dice show to have things happen. And that's sort of very true in games that are dice worker placement kind of games where I'm placing dice and activating things based on the dice that I'm placing, but also in games like this one where I'm drafting dice. We roll a pool of dice and then we're drafting the dice that make the most sense to us in order to do something in the game. And saying this, I am sort of automatically set up to enjoy a game like this, and I am very happy to say that this one does things very well, and I do really, really enjoy what this game is doing. So first, the dice drafting piece. We are drafting dice from the board to do things with, ultimately to match sort of set collection kind of scoring on cards in order to score points and ultimately win the game based on points. And the cool thing about this drafting here is not just that I'm selecting from a pool of dice, but that those dice are placed out in different locations on the board. And based on where I go on the board, not only am I drafting a die for the sort of value of that die to score on these battle plan cards, but I'm also needing to think about what is the action that I get to take when I place my piece on that spot. Do I want to go to that spot to get a die that I really need? Do I want to go to that spot to get an action that I really need and then take whatever die is best for me at that spot? Is there a spot that's perfectly timed to get a die that I need and the action that I need at the same time? There's definitely this timing element of things. When do I go to a spot to get a die? Will that die still be there? Now in the solo, I'm the only one taking dice, so I don't have to worry about somebody else taking a die. But there's very much a timing aspect to the game about when do I optimize for an action? When do I optimize for a die that I want? Is there the possibility that I can time things in such a way that I get to do both the action and get the die that I want at the same time? And this is a really cool puzzle to start. But then not only am I taking the die for the value for the battle plan, I'm also using the die, well, depending on where I go, I'm also using the die as a discount on whatever it is that I'm doing at that spot. So if I'm prioritizing the action of a location, maybe I'm choosing a die that gets me the best discount so I can get the thing that I want without spending the most, as many resources as possible, keeping those resources to use in future rounds. Or maybe I get a die that's the right color that also happens to give me a good discount at the same time, and in that case, even better. Because then there's also the ability to use magic and gems to manipulate the dice values later before activating the battle plan. So there is this sort of leveled thought process of, do I want to die based on color? Do I want to die based on number? Can I change the color later? Can I change the number later? Do I have the resources to do that? Should I focus on a card that's out there now? And then now we can also use the magic not just for manipulating the dice, but for refreshing cards in both the Champions Market and in the Battle Plan lineup as well. So there's this definite thinking process of timing is important, but there are multiple things that I have to time, and there's also the ability for me to switch or manipulate things to match things for myself later, so the timing is not necessarily as important, or drafting that specific thing or going to that specific action at that time, at that point, is not always that important if I can manipulate things later. And I really love the way that all of this fits together, the drafting, the manipulation of dice, the refreshing of markets, the going to certain places to pick up things that you need that activate later based on things you might do later. So I get an ongoing card that scores or that gets me resources off a specific battle plan, and then I go ahead and get that battle plan, which does good things for me. And then there's even more on top of that. In the solo, we've got this adversary AI character that is just rotating around the board. But that means they're blocking off certain spots. So that adds another sort of hiccup to my timing because I can't go to certain things in certain places at certain times. And you saw that kind of ruined things for me at the end of the game where I allowed the AI to score an extra 15 points at the end of the game from one turn of the game. If I had ended the game one turn earlier, that wouldn't have happened. But I wasn't paying enough attention to when the AI would be in certain places. Should I have gone somewhere earlier and taken that -2 sort of hit that the AI gets when they move into my space? Yes, probably to stop them from getting 15 points, but I didn't really think about that when I should have been thinking about that. And there's another level, right? of that timing. When do I do things and how do I do them? And now I've got an AI that I've got to think about their timing as well on top of my timing. And I really love the way that all of that fits together. And then the upgrades. Your board at the beginning starts off pretty weak and there's not a whole lot you can do. And you really need to think about how are you upgrading your board and when are you upgrading your board? Because there's a couple different ways you can upgrade your board. And there's many different things that can happen when you upgrade your board. You can upgrade your board from scoring battle plans. But remember, the more you score battle plans early before you've upgraded, the lower the point scores you're going to get because you're scoring based on the dice that you place on that card. And you need to raise your influence to be able to get your attack value higher. And you need to be able to increase your board to place more dice, to hit those bigger cards, to get bigger values on the dice, to score those bigger points. And you only have 7 cards to do that in. So the longer you wait to be able to score more points, the less you can take advantage of scoring those big points. But at the same time, if you're focused on scoring those big points, you're not focused on adding more cards to your tableau that could score more at the end. You're not focused on adding more slots that could get you other things and allow you to sort of take things away from the AI or in a multiplayer game from the other players. So there's a lot of thought here about which things do you upgrade when, but also you can upgrade by getting those award cards because you mark off your award by moving one of your upgrade tokens. So if you can hit an award early, then you have the ability to upgrade your board faster because you can start passing some of those tokens up to that upgrade or up to that award area rather than using them only when you succeed on battle plans. So there's this extra level of how do I score? Am I scoring on these endgame scoring cards? Am I scoring on big battle plans by upgrading a bunch of stuff so I can get those big numbers to hit big points? Am I wasting dice on big battle plans when I can only score a little bit, but so that I can upgrade faster to get things in the future, or so that I can prevent the AI from taking some of those big scoring cards? And so there's this awesome combination of how to do things optimally, when to do things optimally, which things to focus on most for scoring, and tying all of these things together. I really, really, really enjoy all of the things that are happening in this game, and I think everything just sort of fits and works together in a great, great way. Now, if I was going to say anything negative about this game, if you're looking for a solo AI that really does compete with you and feels like you're playing the game against somebody else, you're not going to get that here. This really is a timer that eventually pulls off cards and scores based on those cards. And yes, you can anticipate that. And yes, you can play with the market, hopefully, so that the AI doesn't get that big 4-point card. But it's going to happen anyway randomly sometimes, because if you clear that top and the next one that comes out is another 4-pip or 4-icon card, that's going to happen. But that's not really what's trying to happen here. The AI here is blocking a spot. It's sort of screwing up your timing. It is scoring, so it's making you think about scoring some of those bigger things and removing some of those bigger things. And it definitely does influence the way that you're playing the game. So yes, it doesn't feel like I'm playing against a human opponent, but it does feel like I'm playing against an opponent that is playing against me and is conspiring to make things harder for me. So I still do enjoy it. I just want to warn you that if you're looking for an intelligent AI that feels like a human opponent, that's not going to happen here. The other negative that I might say about this game, and this is something that might be fixed later, but let me say what it is first, and that is that this game could get a little bit repetitive, right? The setup is the same every time. The cards are sort of the same every time. You might get different in-game scoring. You might get different sort of abilities in-game. But those are mostly just different based on the colors that they're focused on or the icons that they're focused on, and not really about the way that the game plays. You could focus heavier on battle plans or heavier on cards. And there's definitely different strategies and different paths you can walk through to play this game. But ultimately, for me, it does get to feel a little bit samey after a while. Even with the different campaign map that gives you points for different things and different focuses, the type of focus doesn't really change the way that the game plays. You know, the focus of how you're playing the game doesn't change that much. Now, I do know that there's an expansion out already that adds a bunch of stuff to the game, and I do know that there's a campaign that just finished on Kickstarter for a new expansion coming out that does add player variability, and that's something I really want to see in this game, because right now the only difference between factions is the color that becomes a wild die later on in the game, and nobody has any unique powers aside from the abilities you get from those champion cards. So I am really excited to see how the new variable start, variable player powers introduced in the newest expansion work. I'm also very excited to try out the other expansion that's already out for this because, again, I really enjoy this gameplay. The only thing that I'm worried is that it might get stale. And with an expansion that already exists and an even more variable expansion on the way, that sort of kills that worry for me. And I'm very excited to try those out as well. I hope that this video was helpful for you. I hope that this is a game that you might be interested in. If it is, definitely go ahead and check it out. Maybe look into those expansions that are coming out to find out more information about whether this game expands into something that you'd really enjoy or not. If you did enjoy this video, as always, I ask you please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon below, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.